We're joined by Torsten Müller-Otvas. He's Chief Executive Officer at Rolls-Royce Motor Cars. Thank you so much for joining us and being on the move with us.
Good morning.
Now, talk to me about a trend. Is there anything that actually surprised you? It's interesting to see that a lot of the people that buy a Rolls-Royce want that customization. Does it also mean that actually, the world is becoming that little bit more comforting if you have, another great year for expensive cars?
The reason behind that is that that individualization trend is really growing quite fast for us, and also that's the reason why we have invested substantially in the bespoke business. And bespoke now counts for quite a big portion of our business, and you can imagine if you spend that amount of money for such a lovely car, you will love to have it exactly like you and what your desire is. This is it.
Just in terms of the growth, it seems that there's a lot more demand from the US. How is that going to change in the next couple of years? Are you seeing your customers significantly change?
That is, by all respect, very hard to predict, because initially in the beginning of that year we had seen quite some strong impact into the US market, and at the end of the day they also managed to be back again at #1, and especially the end of last year was particularly strong for us in the US market, and now also fiscal cliff hopefully is over. We should see hopefully a little bit more better consumer sentiments on a constant level in the United States. That also makes me quite optimistic for this year to come. Asia is definitely one of our major market areas, and China has seen a little bit of slowdown last year also for us, was not growing so fast any longer. I mean, that was true particular, I would say, for all luxury brands, and for that reason, not a big surprise.
And in general, is the Rolls-Royce client one that has a car and buys another one, or is it new customers coming on? Is it new millionaires, or have you seen a change and shift on the way that they actually buy your cars?
It's a lot of conquest, how we call that, so new buyers, and particular with our new model, the Rolls-Royce Ghost, which we introduced 3 years ago. We have found over 80% new customers for the brand, people we have never seen before. And due to that growing number, you can say millionaires, affluent people in the world, we also see a growing customer base for us, which is fantastic.
Is there any growth in Latin America? Or are there any countries that actually are much softer than you thought they would be?
Softer for us, also no big surprise, is Europe. In some areas in Europe, yes, we are also affected to a certain part by the crisis. It's never that our customers are short of money. It is what I would call consumer sentiment. Yeah? But you were reflecting on South America. South America is an interesting market for us. We have just entered that market in Brazil and also in Chile, and initial sales have been good. So let's wait and see. I'm optimistic about that region.
And so in your forecast for this year, because I've actually heard, so we've had a lot of investors coming in, and they say, look, Brazil may be the success story over the next 2 to 3 years, which surprised me somewhat because we hadn't talked about it that much over the last couple of quarters. Do you have high hopes for Brazil, maybe more than other new markets? I
mean, percentage-wise, yes, but it's not big numbers. Yeah, our biggest markets are, as already said, United States and China, but definitely a region which is growing. And I mean, look into our dealers; they're investing quite substantial money into those premises, complete new buildings. Millions are invested here. And they would never do that if they wouldn't have confidence that the business will grow over the next years to come. So I'm also optimistic about that.
Torsten, what's your biggest concern for this year? A lot of people are, for example, concerned that France is kind of rejecting maybe the wealth prizes. Basically, they're trying to tax the rich. There's a sentiment that it's not just for people to have too much. This must shift the dynamics for Rolls-Royce.
Yeah, my feeling is that certain countries are definitely on the political side a little bit steering too much into that direction. Let's punish the rich. Yeah. I think that might be popular, but it's definitely against what I would understand as being a free economic culture, and for that reason also hindering, and this is what France also currently sees, quite a lot of people leaving, unfortunately, the country, and for that reason might not be the wise decision to do stuff like that. And that, of course, is also influencing, in a way, our business.
Because people don't want to seem ostentatious.
It is not so much about ostentatious, it is more about the mood is not right. People don't feel it's the right occasion now to go for a new Rolls-Royce.
Very interesting. Torsten, thank you so much for
Pleasure.
that. Torsten Müller, Outwas there.